Hello everyone, welcome to EduTap and also welcome to the government scheme session. The scheme that we are covering today, it is Startup India Fund, seed fund scheme, and this has been asked by one of you guys for me to make a video on it. And what we are going to do first, we are going to understand all the static important dimensions that are related to this scheme and can be asked in your examination. And then we will look at the recent news that is associated with it. But before starting, here's an announcement for all the aspirants who are preparing for central regulatory bodies. We have come up with one-stop solution guide for all the queries that you must be having regarding the organization that you would want to join, what its role is in India's economy, what are the different departments in it, what is the hierarchy that follows in it. Everything has been mentioned along with your roles and responsibility once you will join the organization at a certain designation. After that, you would want to join the organization. So what is the recruitment process, what are the different phases, what happens in each phase, and what sorts of questions are asked, what is the syllabus, what is the previous year pattern, even are you eligible or not. Everything has been crystal clearly defined in these e-guidebooks, which is for RBI, NABARD and SEBI. So do not miss this opportunity. You can download these e-guidebooks free of cost from the link that is present in the description box below. Now let's come to about the scheme. Then let's understand the terms. For example, what is startup? Okay, startup, it is a new business basically. That is a startup. India, we are talking about our country. What is seed and how it is used in the context of startup? So basically, we know that from seed a new plant it emerges, right? So we can actually call seed to be the one that gives life, that produces life, right? So similarly, there are some stages, there are initial stages. We will look at them throughout this scheme also. So these stages, these initial development stages, they are very important and crucial for a startup to boom or to in fact to establish, right? Because there, if something goes wrong, so of course there would not be any industry, or there would not be any business, right? So here, but what happens in this seed stage also, there is a lot of money that is required. Okay, now to back up this fund, this particular scheme has been launched by the central government to provide this funding, because if we talk about the environment of a startup in India, so here we have fund insufficiency, we can say, and because of that there is not much startup culture in India, and government wants to promote it. So initially in 2016 it came up with Startup India scheme. Do mind, it is Startup India scheme is completely different, or you can say this scheme that we'll study, it is a part of Startup India scheme. Okay, so Startup India scheme, to promote this startup culture in India, so Startup India scheme was launched back in 2016, and under it what happened, an action plan was established, was unveiled by Prime Minister in 2016 only, and this action plan had 19 action points. So 19 points were discussed to achieve under the action plan that was laid. And basically why it was laid, so it was laid down for the creation of conducive environment ecosystem for startup. Conducive environment means we have to provide with them the environment where they have proper guidance, because it can happen that you have an idea but maybe you don't know the technicalities, you may not know how it is going to be in line with what the society actually it would accept, it would demand, right? You might need some technologies for that, you might need some researches for doing that, right? So there should be a proper ecosystem for it, and this Startup India scheme, it was launched initially, and under that a plan was action plan was there, where 19 action points was laid with the objective that we have studied. So in accordance with that only, this Startup India seed fund scheme, it was launched. So initially what will be done, so there will be startups that would be they can apply themselves to be eligible to get funds under the scheme. Okay, and then if they are eligible, what are the criteria that we will look at it. So there will be some incubators also. What are this incubator? Basically these would be those set up labs. Okay, these labs, and especially in big institute for IITs and IIMs, we have incubation centers. The institute is known as incubator, and there we have incubation centers. Okay, so then there will be incubators also that will be selected under the scheme, and then these incubator will provide, of course, the conducive environment for the startups to flourish, to grow, and they will be backed at these initial stages also. Okay, now why was the need to launch this scheme? So basically what happens, if currently we look at for startup, if they want to have money, so either they can go for the angel investors or the ventures that are associated that are there in the market, right? But what happen in that case, they would require they would want the proof of concept to be accepted beforehand only, or it should be accredited by the government. Okay, what does it mean? And also in line with the whatever Indian rules are there. Okay, so basically proof of concept, it is, you can, in simple terms, you can imagine these to be map. So basically a proper map, because see, for example, if you want to make a home, first you have to build a map, and that map should also be passed, right? It should be lawfully passed, then only you can make a home in accordance to it. Similarly, proof of concept you can look at like that, that is the first initial step that needs to be first accepted, already accepted, then only these angel investors and the other ventures, they invest in it, right? So there's an issue, because these initial steps also require money. What if I do not even have money for these? Because proof of concept, see, it would require a lot of R&D, research and development. It would require, it might require technology, and there are so many things which will back up this to make this proof of concept, right? So that is one case. Another way of taking loan, it is by banks. But what's the problem with bank? That they only approve the asset back loans. So basically what happens, bank will only provide that much loan uh, if you have equivalent asset with you, so that you can give assurity to the bank that if something goes wrong, you can have your money in some other ways. Okay, so but what happen if you do not have money even for that? So it is a kind of not so conducive environment for the startups, right? That is why government, they came up with scheme. Now what we have done, we have understood the basics. Okay, so everything has now be basics. Now what we will do, we will just do the formality of understanding the parts that you just need to mug up, and if there is something that needed to be explained, I'll explain it. Okay, so I hope that approach that I always follow, it's fine. But if you feel like, I just feel like I'm just reading it, the content, you please let me know. I'll work on that. Now how the Startup India Fund will operate. Okay, so basically what will happen, although this scheme, it comes under the Ministry of Commerce and Industry, but it is launched by, and everything, the administration, everything will be done by Department for Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade, that is your DPIIT. Okay, then under it, what is there is an expert advisory committee, it is being established, which will take care of everything, be it monitoring, administration, anything that will be done for this particular scheme. Whatever funds that have to be released, everything that will be taken care, how much fund to be released, that will be taken by expert advisory committee only. Then they will provide this money and facility to the incubators, and then of course incubators, they will help the startups to grow. Okay, so this is the in general outlay, and whatever lines that are present here, we are going to anyway look at in the in the further slides, when we will be specifically talking about it. Okay, so launch year of this scheme is 2021, and it falls under the Ministry of Commerce and Industry. But we have looked at that, it is launched by your Department for Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade. Okay, so launched by DPIIT, falls under the Ministry of Commerce and Industry. Okay, what is the aim? So it is to build a robust startup ecosystem in the country for nurturing innovation. We have to nurture that first step, nurture the innovation, and also we have to provide the opportunity for the budding entrepreneurs who cannot just start something because of the lack of funds. Total outlay, if you look at, so this scheme duration is for 4 years. So till 4 years, the total outlay, it is rupees 945 crore, and the executive committee, we have already understood, these are the expert advisory committee has been set up by DPIIT, and duration is 4 years. I hope till now there is no confusion. And now let's look at two important key features we have in here. Okay, first is to provide financial assistance, that we have understood, and that is the aim also, right? To have a robust ecosystem, startup ecosystem, we need to provide financial assistance to startup, right? And this financial assistance will help for the proof of concept. This we have understood, right? This is the basic map of the startup that needs to be made. Okay, so that is a proof of concept. What is prototype development? So once you have made a you have kind of, you can say, you have printed the thoughts that you want to actually implement, then there should be a model also, right? So that model, that first model, it is known as a prototype, and whatever be the processes that is required for this, that is known as prototype development. So you can understand that is also initial phase, and that would also require money, right? Then product trials needs to be done, right? Is it in accordance with the consumer demands, wants? That is also a problem. Then market entry, it is a big issue, because if the particular startup is being is entering into some kind of market where already there are so many other companies are being established, it would it would be a little bit difficult for them to at least have that entry, right? So for market entry also, and if you are making a new concept also, still it requires some efforts during the market entry and commercialization of that particular product also. Okay, so for all these things, these are the initial stages you can understand, and for that financial assistance will be provided. Now the the executive committee, what it will do, it will evaluate and select incubators for allotment of seed funds. Okay, first of all it will evaluate and select incubators. Are the incubators will be able to fulfill and will be able to provide the environment the which the startup they should have. Okay, so first of all evaluation and selection of them will be done. It is not like that if there are, for example, I'm just giving a random example, if there are thousands of incubators are there, all those thousand will be able to cater through this particular scheme. No, only the selected ones, and this will also depend on the types of startups and also if the incubator has all the facilities or not. For the allotment of seed fund, okay, so for that evaluation and selection of incubator will be done. So then and what will be the criteria for the allotment of seed funds? To monitor progress also, so this committee will monitor the progress as well, and take all necessary measures for efficient utilization of funds. Okay, they will take all the whatever measures that have that needs to be taken to the efficient utilization of fund that has been distributed towards the fulfillment of the objective of the scheme. Okay, next, what is the eligibility? So this eligibility we will look at in consideration with, as in I am the beneficiary. Okay, so there are two types of eligibility. One is for the beneficiary and one is for the incubator. So for the incubator it is not that important, that is why I've just added the snippet from the official website, but in this I've just made proper notes. So startup should not have received more than rupees 10 lakh of monetary support under other central or state government scheme. Of course, because if they've already gotten the support, so what's the meaning of this particular scheme, right? It can be utilized by some other startup as well, because initially you have money, then it's your accountability that you are failing it, right? Preference would be given to startups creating innovative solution in sector. So there will be some preference also that will be given. Okay, so and these preference will be given to such kind of startups which will have some direct impact in the society. For example, they should have some social impact, some waste management. Basically, if any startup, it is for waste management, some for water management, financial inclusion of all the citizens in India. If it is related to education, agriculture, food poisoning, here actually we are looking at all the social problems that we have currently that we are tackling with. If the startup is under these biotechnology, healthcare, energy, mobility, defense, space, railway, oil and gas and textiles, if these are in this, they will be given preference. Okay, such kind of startups will be given preference, because we know ultimately we just have to apply for it, and then whatever be you would have to portray showcase also what you have, the thoughts in your mind. So everything will be calculated, and then only you will get the money. So it's not guaranteed that your startup will get money only, right? Now the shareholding by Indian promoters in the startup should be at least 51%. Okay, so at least 51 means more than half of the company should be in the name of the Indian promoters only. Okay, apart from that, a startup applicant can avail seed support. Okay, so they can avail the seed support in the form of what? In the form of grants, debentures, each once as per the guidelines, either from grants, okay, it's slash, okay, so either from in the form of grants or in the form of debentures, and once as per the guidelines. Okay, so here we are looking at each one. So by grants, it's not either, which I said before, apologies, because it says each, so it is grants and debentures, so it's a combination form. Okay, now this is what the eligibility for incubator is. So there are a lot of eligibility, we'll just look at one or two. Incubator must be a legal entity, okay, and society registered, it should be society registered. There are the criteria. The incubator should be operational for 2 years. Okay, so in the case of as a beneficiary, if we look at, the startup should not be not more than 2 years of establishment, because then it's not a startup actually, right? And in this case also, incubator should be operated at least 2 years on the date of application, whenever they will apply to be as an incubator under the scheme. The incubator must have facilities to seat at least 25 individuals. The incubator must have at least 5 startups undergoing when they actually apply for the application. Okay, So these are some of the important rest you can just read out of it. And if we talk about grants and support, so it will support an estimated, it is expected that in these 4 years through 300 incubators, so 300 incubators will be associated with this scheme. It is estimated 3600 entrepreneurs will get benefit under this. Grants up to 5 crore. Now this 5 crore, there are two grants that are mentioned, okay, two types of. One is grant of rupees 5 crore. It will be provided to the eligible incubator selected by the committee. Okay, this we know. And this grant will be provided to the incubators. You have to understand, this grant is for the incubators and not for the beneficiary that will take the benefit under it. Okay, so 5 crore will be provided, and the selected incubator will provide grant up to 20 lakh. Now this 20 lakh the startups will get by the incubators, and if we talk about incubators, these eligible incubators will get 5 crore. Do mind, this is crore and 20 lakh. Please do not get confused how, because if we look digit wise, 5 is lesser, 20 is more, right? So you might get confused how they can give to so many so many startups, right? We are talking about 5 crore, and here we are talking about 20 lakh. And for what? For the validation of proof of concept. We have understood what is this prototype development and product trials to the startups. Okay, apart from that, investment up to 50 lakh. Okay, 5 crore to the incubator, 20 lakh for the initial validation, prototype and trials that need to be done. But then to enter the market or doing commercialization of whatever product that you will form or the startup that you will have, or scaling up, or the scaling up you have to do means you have to then expand it. And of course we're talking about startup only, not the brownfield industry, we're not talking about it. Okay, so that is investment up to 50 lakh will be provided for it. So 20 lakh till the trials, and then 50 lakh investment till 50 lakh will be done, or scaling up through convertible debentures or debt like instrument. Okay, so what will be done? This will be given in the form of debentures or debt like instrument. Okay, so this money will be given in such a way. Okay, then this was the news. So that was it, all the important points that you need to know. So the news was rupees 477.25 crore approved for 2133 incubator under the Startup India seed fund scheme. So this is of 3rd Feb 2023, just 2 months back, and that was all in this scheme. So here's a question for you all: which of the following statement is not correct regarding the Startup India seed fund scheme? Right, seed fund scheme, and these are the options. Then you have to tell the right answer, and these are the topper of the last session. Raju said the right answer, Vaishali said the right answer, Rishabh said the right answer, and here I am looking at about Gati Shakti, so I asked you in the last session, right? So yes, there are two schemes that I'll make just after this. One is Gati Shakti and one is about the small saving schemes. We'll talk about that. Welcome Red and Batman. For how many months back you should read schemes? So maximum of 3 to 4 months I'll say. And if you want to just be in safer side, and means like a lot safer side, than 6 months, 3 to 4 months are enough. And Sanmitra, to the question that you asked, see, this 65% of the total investment, that will be the assets that the government will give and not the money that will be generated, right? Or the amount. Okay, it is about the asset that will be given. So 66% will be your railways, and we had roads and the power sector. Okay, I hope your doubt it is clear now. So if you liked the video, kindly subscribe to our YouTube channel, and you can also join our Telegram channel to get the PDF of this and every lecture that we provide here on YouTube. And that is all in this video. If you want me to cover any scheme, do let me know. I'll make a session on it. And until then, we'll meet again. Until then, all the very best for examination, and thank you.